Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how you can create this abstract render with geometry nodes in Blender 3.3 Alpha. You can get the file on Gumroad for $1 through the link in the description. So let's get started. First let's add a plane and go to geometry nodes. Click on the plus sign and close this window here. Join areas. Delete the group input and add a volume cube. Now add a volume to mesh. This one. Connect the volume to the volume and the volume to mesh to the geometry. Duplicate these two nodes and add an instance on points. Now plug this one in here and this one in here. Set the resolution down here to 2. Add a set shade smooth. Now add a set material. Create a new material and select it here. Add a wave texture. Plug that into the density here, and let's also add a gradient texture. Set it to spherical and plug the color into the vector. Now we need a math node. Plug that into the scale and a random value node. Put it here and plug it into the top here and into the rotation. I recommend that you save now if you haven't already. And now let's set the scale here to 150. If the performance of your PC isn't that great, you can of course leave the resolution at 32. I recommend to set it anywhere between 32 and 200. I'm going to set it to 200. Now go to the shading tab and go into rendered view. I'm going to use cycles for this, and under film I'm going to make this transparent. Delete the principled BSDF and add a mix shader. Plug that into the surface and add a glass shader now. And plug that in here. Now a transparent shader. And plug that into the bottom. For the color I'm going to choose a light blue and duplicate it. Let's also add a cube. Click on new and press S10 to scale it up. Delete the principled BSDF and add a principled volume. Plug the volume into the volume and add a Musgrave texture. Plug that into the density. I'm going to make the color darker like this, maybe a little more. Go to layout mode and rendered view, and let's set up the camera. I'm going to position my view around here. Shift A, camera, and Ctrl Alt 0 to go into camera view. G set Z to move it like this on the local Z axis. Let's add a point light and make the radius something like this and set the power to 10,000. Let's add an area light. This one. Move it up. Go into top view by pressing 7 on the numpad and scale it up. Go into front view by pressing 1 and rotate it like this. Move it up. And now let's rotate it on the Z-axis. And move it up a little more. Now for the power, let's also try 10,000. So as you can see, I set it to 100,000, and let's make this blue as well. Let's do the same for the point light here, make it blue. Like this. Let's go to viewport shading now, and select the camera and enable depth of field. Add an empty plane axis and G Shift Z to move it like this, and move it to somewhere around here so that it touches the surface here. Let's go up here and enable depth of field and select the camera again. Select the empty and let's set this to 0.4 for example. And now you can see the blur here in the background. Let's go back to rendered view and go to the render properties. I'm going to set this to 384 and go to color management and set the look to very high contrast. You can also use denoise. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, you can use optics or OpenImage denoise. If you don't, you can only use OpenImage denoise. Now go to compositing and enable use nodes and also denoising data. And then just a denoise node set to accurate. Now let's save again and press F12 to render. So that's it with the tutorial. I hope you liked it. Please let me know what I should do next, and I'll see you next time.